Why hasn't Victorinox given us a bladeless Swiss Army tool? I think the reason is twofold. Number one is I think there's an overfocus on satisfying the requirements of the TSA. And that is not just something I'm putting on Victorinox. I think that's on us too. We all want bladeless multi-tools that are going to be TSA approved. But the problem for any company making a tool and saying it's TSA approved or implying that it's TSA approved is that the TSA can change their mind anytime. And they have, and they do, even right now. While the rules have been about the same for a while, if you go to place A and place B, they might answer your question differently about what is and is not acceptable. So that's just too much of a shifting bar for Victorinox to try to meet. I would like to propose that they just forget about the TSA entirely. Instead, make a multi-tool for us folks who simply work in a job where they are not allowed to carry a knife with them. Now, the second problem, other than a focus on the TSA, is this layer scale issue. So Swiss Army knives, of course, are made in layers. You can see the layers on the front, and the back gives you a better idea of what's a layer. Sometimes it's hard to tell what's a layer and what's not. For example, I guess the classic is actually a 2-layer knife, which I don't totally understand. Anyway, it's hard to tell, but they only move these things around in layers unless there are tools that can be interchanged with each other. So examples of tools that can be interchanged are like the magnifying glass and the Phillips, and also the flashlight. Those can all be interchanged with each other. The small blade can be exchanged for the nail file, which you can see here on the companion. Likewise, this new package opener tool can obviously be interchanged with at least the 91mm can opener. If you can interchange tools, you'd be good. However, what I think we don't have is any tool that can take the place of the main blade. Victorinox could come up with something, but honestly, I'm not sure what. I've spent months trying to figure out what Victorinox could try to invent to put here instead of a main blade that would still make this a really good EDC tool. Anyway, I don't think that the fish scaler would go over really well on here. Plus, I don't have any evidence that it would actually fit into this spot. So if there's nothing that can really fit into here, what we're left with is the idea of removing the layer. So it does make some sense as we look at the Swiss Champ here. This layer has the large blade and the small blade. Great, we can get rid of both blades at the same time. Once we take that layer off, there won't be any more blades on here. Unfortunately, we also have the corkscrew here, or on some models, of course, that would be the back layer Phillips. The problem with removing this part right here is that now this scale doesn't fit. The front and back scales are not the same on the inside because the rivets are at different places. So you actually can't put this one on this side, not only because there's a corkscrew in the way, but because it just wouldn't fit on the rivets the way they're spaced out on the tool. So therefore, you need to do something to get rid of these knives and still leave this here, or make a different kind of scale. Now, I am absolutely sure that a different kind of scale could be 3D printed or made out of any number of different things, so that could be an option. But if you are Victorinox, like that's an option for a modder, right? But if you are Victorinox, that's not an option for you because you want to use your Celador scales. This is part of your brand. This is part of who you are. Even their new scales are like this. So I was thinking more about what could they do. Now, Fit to Survive has actually done a really cool video. I did put a link in the description box below where what he was able to do was replace both of the knives with the can opener and the cap lifter. Yes, I do have a magnet in there. And that is a really cool mod, actually. And I wonder if Victorinox could do that. I assume you would lose this stop here. And I wonder if the reason they haven't done it, but he can do it apparently with some degree of ease, is because Victorinox needs to have a certain level of reproducibility, and what you expect when you use this is a particular type of snap. You expect the stop here on a 91mm knife, and so maybe that's why they just can't change up in that direction. Okay, so then I started thinking, what if we used a different size knife? Like, so there doesn't seem to be 91mm scales made by Victorinox that are missing the cutout for the corkscrew or the Phillips. What if we go to a different size? Because the 84mm size actually has scales with no cutout. So theoretically, could you take out the blade layer and end up with a knife that you could totally use? Yes, but the problem is all you'd have is the opener layer. Like, they don't really have that many tools available in the 84 millimeter size, and so you really wouldn't have that much of tools, and it's hard for me to picture that that would be a terribly popular product. So then I started thinking, what about the 91 millimeter A-Lock series? Because of course, these are the same on the front and the back. I thought this could be the answer. But again, I think what we're running into is there just aren't that many tools. But other than the saw plus this, it's not like the most amazing tool set. Although, believe me, if they sold it, I would buy it. But then, as I was looking through my Swiss Army knives, I came across an unexpected contender. The Work Champ. Could we do this without a blade? Because although, again, we have the scale situation here where there is a cutout in the scale for the corkscrew, that is not the blade layer. The blade layer is like a layer inside from there. You got all this, but what you could avoid is having this beautiful big blade and just not have it there. The one problem is that in between the opener layer and this blade, you have a particular kind of, it's almost like a liner. I don't know what you would call this. I guess it is a liner because it's a liner lock. Oh my gosh. I should probably cut this out, but I don't think I'm going to. I'm such an idiot. Yeah, so this liner lock knife has a liner which locks this knife in here. And although it is a weird backwards left-handed lock, it works great. And it also locks this guy open when you are using this as a pry tool. So it's like a double locking liner lock. But I'm pretty sure you could replace that with a regular liner and just kind of get rid of that whole knife layer entirely. And that would give you a really nice tool set that I think would be a very easy option. And I actually think that these two options of either a 91 millimeter A-Lox with just this tiny tool set right here, or a Work Champ without a blade, I think are Victorinox's two easiest options to bring us a really functional Swiss Army knife that doesn't have a blade. But what I don't know, and what I would say might be the ultimate choice, especially for people that are just carrying like, at work in a regular kind of indoor job like I have where you're not really using tools a lot, could this replace this tool? Could you actually take this package opener tool and put it here in place of the can opener? I actually don't think you can. This one seems a bit thicker, but ooh, that's something to think about too. All right, you guys, let me know what you think. How much do you want a bladeless Swiss Army knife? Am I the only person who wants this? Leave a note in the comment section below. And thank you so much for watching.